Oh, beg my pardon, I wasn't looking where I was. A goat?
Ow, 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 ow. Yeah, a goat. Don't judge me, I know it's weird.
Weird? I see nothing weird. Just a really, really cute goat.
Cute? Well, thanks. Wait. You're a fox! Don't eat me! I'm not tasty!
Well, apparently someone didn't learn anything from watching Zootopia.
Zootopia? Try all those wildlife documentaries on Netflix.
I'm sure most foxes don't eat goats. You are a little bit too big. And cute.
Clearly you've never been in the rural farmlands of Mexico, but whatevs.
Anyway, how did you do that? You certainly looked like a pony.
Long story. I guess I should start by saying that I'm not a changeling. The easiest way to explain would be magic. How did you turn into a pony?
How many tails do I have?
Well, to be fair, the only exposure I've had to foxes is the orange one that can fly.
Oh, that one. I know that kid, but he hangs out with all the wrong people. Anyway, I'm not your ordinary fox. I'm a kitsune, a yokai with magical powers. I'm gifted with the ability to shapeshift.
Really? Sounds like something that came from an anime. But anyways, it's nice to meet you.
Thanks, nice meeting you too. Oh, where are my manners? I'm Tricky Fox. What's your name?
The name's Mimi, the local neighborhood goat.
It's nice to meet a fellow shapeshifter that doesn't try to suck out my emotions. At least I hope you don't plan anything like that. Would you like to come over for a talk?
Might as well. I can't transform into anything for a few minutes, so it'll help pass the time.
Shapeshifting is a very helpful ability, especially if you're the odd one out like Mimi or myself. But while we use it to live a normal life, there are also those who abuse this gift.
Yes. The changelings, right? Shifting is nifty, but because you can look like anyone, you can use it to do some pretty nasty things, like kidnapping a princess or taking over a city.
The changelings in MLP are quite unique. Spearheaded by Queen Chrysalis, they are far from being the most powerful threat the main six have encountered, yet they are probably the most dangerous. They could be everywhere. Every time you see two of the same background ponies, it could be a changeling. Speaking of paranoia.
Yeah, kind of a scary thought. And it doesn't help that ponies aren't really all that good at noticing things. But hey, who's to say that all changelings are bad, right?
Before we talk about how changelings are presented in the show, we should maybe look how changelings are presented in folklore.
A history lesson? I thought I left that behind in high school. But alright, let's see. Let me just get my notes. In folklore, changelings are fairy-like beings that kidnap newborns and replace them. Is that right?
Well, almost. The term changeling usually describes the child left behind by the fairies. And we are not talking about I fulfill your wishes fairies. Fairies, or rather the fair folk, describes a multitude of magical beings. And not all are nice. The changeling myth is found all over Europe, but it's probably best known for the Celtic interpretation. Though we also have them in Germany. Here they are called Wechselbalg. And aren't left behind by fairies, but by the devil himself.
I think my brain just crashed. In other words, changelings in the show are not so similar to their folklore version, with the exception of transforming into things.
Actually, changelings aren't able to transform. The belief was that you could recognize changelings by the fact that they look different, often a big neck or head. Though if you look into it, changelings were most likely deformed and disabled children.
Well, that's very different from the changelings I've heard about. But I guess it varies from region to region. I assume they at least still feed off affection, no? If not, then might as well just call the MLP changeling bug ponies instead.
Well, they don't suck emotions like the bug ponies, but they still take advantage of the fool parents that take care of them. In the show, they are more presented like child-friendly succubi.
Succubi? In a kid's show. Well then, I applaud you, Hasbro. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe the version of changelings you're talking about might be portrayed in the show soon. But I'll save that for later. Anything else?
Well, we could talk about different versions all day, but this should cover the basics. Probably better to move on.
Right. Let's see how these changelings work. We should start with their introduction. Changelings first came into the show during a Canterlot wedding, where we meet not only the minions, but the queen bee herself, Chrysalis, and boy are they a nasty bunch.
The most surprising thing about them is, well, that they were a surprise. If you are not one of these people that avoid spoilers at any cost, you usually know a thing or two before a two-parter airs. Everyone got hyped after Discord and Tyrek were revealed in the trailer. People made jokes about Sombra before this episode was even aired, and everyone was disappointed when we didn't get a proper villain in the Crystalling. However, no one ever heard about Changelings or saw one before Chrysalis revealed herself. They only promoted that wedding.
Well, I think that's kind of the point. Changelings are sneaky, cunning. You're not meant to expect them, thus making them a surprise. It was very smart on DHX and Hasbro to keep them concealed until the episodes aired, because it acted as a shock to not only the ponies in the show, but to us as well. But sadly they weren't here to stay, since we haven't seen a trace of them in the show until recently in the 5th season finale.
Yet Chrysalis is the only villain that got away to return someday, with the exception of Starlight, but she is now one of the good guys.
Yep, Reformation 101. Anyways, while the show has been kinda sparse on changelings, there have been a few showings in the comics. Heck, there was even an arc dedicated to their revenge on Twilight. You can't find much more than what we already know about changelings in it, but boy is it a great read. In fact, I think the only thing we did find out is that Chrysalis is as every bit evil as Sombra or Tyrek.
Queen Chrysalis is still a somewhat fascinating character in her own right, as she seems to function as an evil counterpart to Celestia. Not only is she the ruler of a race and is black where Celestia is white, she also leads her subjects in a very different manner to Celestia. Where Celestia likes to delegate other ponies and seldom acts directly, Chrysalis has no problem with impersonating Cadence herself. Even though it does put her into danger, as she would be no match for Celestia under normal circumstances. One mistake that blows her cover and she would have been a goner. She also seems to care for her subjects to a certain degree, as her main motivation is seemingly to feed them. That's probably why the changelings follow her. While they appear like a swarm of insects, they apparently don't have a hive mind. Fluttershy fools them by pretending to be one of them in a disguise, and one even answers Pinky's request to transform into her. Not to mention Kevin, the changeling that appears in Slice of Life that somehow befriended Cranky.
Yeah, of course, Chrysalis still has her own motivations to do things, like getting revenge on Twilight in the comics, or in an alternate future season finale, went after a small group of ponies to completely dominate them. Clearly she does have her subjects at heart, but she also wants control, which might actually lead to her next major appearance, at least the one we think is coming in the season 6 finale.
Of course we can't be too sure about that, but it would be quite fitting. If you consider how changelings are portrayed in folklore, a two-parter about them kidnapping Flurry Heart would be quite fitting, especially since Chrysalis could simply transform into Cadence to not only manipulate the baby to use its energy, but also to feed off its love. Come on, it's downright diabolical. In the same way, they could replace Flurry Heart with a changeling. The episode basically writes itself.
I think that's likely what will happen. After all, the Crystal Empire runs on love and light. What better place to grow and become stronger? It's a scary thought when you consider it, though. Chrysalis became strong enough to overthrow Celestia with just shining armor's love. What do you think she'll be able to do with an empire's worth? I mean, it could be devastating, the damage she and her changelings could do with that kind of power. Chrysalis could take Flurry Heart's place, or Cadence's place, and could feast off that love to an overpowered amount.
And of course there's this mysterious flying object seen at the end of the Crystalling. Many fans, myself included, believe it to be a changeling, but of course only time will tell if we are correct.
It's fun to theorize. You never know. By the end of this year we could be saying that we called it. Anyways, I think I've waited long enough to reuse my potions again. So, want to wrap this up?
Well, the comics offer some additional information, but it's probably for the best if we stick with the show for now. Their status as canon is sadly a little bit questionable. Queen Chrysalis and her changelings left a big impact on the fandom. They have cool designs, are mysterious and threatening. Especially since everyone keeps complaining that every villain gets reformed or sealed away. It is nice to know that there are still irredeemable bad guys out there waiting for the chance of revenge.
True. Hopefully it stays that way after the finale. After all, MLP has a bit of a track record when it comes to heel turn reformations. Well, it was fun talking to you, Tricky. We should talk again sometime.
You're always welcome, though I do have one final question.
What is it?
Can you bake butterscotch cinnamon pie?
Always because I'm a goat. Fine, but just this once, alright?
Yay, you're the best! But what about you? Do you hope Crystallis returns soon? Or would you rather see a new villain? Let us know in the comments. I am Tricky Fox. Stay foxy.
Oh shoot, I don't have an outro. My name's Mimi, and I'm whatever you want me to be. Bye-bye!
Okay, now I do something I usually don't do. I want to give a special shout out to my friend Mimi, who is in my opinion underappreciated. I would recommend to check out her YouTube channel and especially her DA. She's an awesome artist and drew the title card for this video. She also did some pieces for more popular people like Toon Critic, so please check out her site and consider commissioning her. It is more than worth it. She recently had to buy a new PC and you can help her to get a new mic as well. That being said, see ya guys!